What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hello and welcome. I've got a bunch of new makeup sitting here in front of me that I am really excited to try out and share with y'all. So I thought it'd be fun to sort of get ready together. I can share with you some of my first initial impression thoughts, and of course, I will do an all-day wear test and check in with y'all later this evening so we can see how everything wore. But as always, I will have all these products linked and listed down below in the description box. So if you're ever curious about anything I use in any of my videos here on my channel, always check the description box because I squeeze as much information as I possibly can into that tiny little space. But without further ado, we are going to zoom in, get my hair out of my face, and start playing with some new makeup. Alright, y'all, so kicking things off with primer, I have this one that I picked up from Iconic London. This is the Velvet Smooth Pore Refining Primer. Now, I think this one came out last year, so it's not brand spanking new to the market, but I have really been on sort of a smoothing primer kick as of late, ever since I revisited my one from Catrice and just love the way that everything went on over top. I have really been wanting to test out more of these. I remember loving the one from Tarte back in the day. I actually feel like I want to repurchase one of those during the Sephora spring sale just to see if I still love it as much as I used to. But this is supposed to blur and refine the appearance of pores for cloud-like soft focus skin, and it's going to be for all skin types, so normal, dry, combination, and oily. So I'm just going to apply a little bit where I have some more texture around my mouth area, my nose, right here on my cheeks, bring it up onto my forehead where I have those really deep lines that always seem to make an appearance every time I put any sort of makeup on, and I am just going to let this sit for just a couple of minutes. Alright, y'all, primer is on, and I just love the way that my skin is looking and feeling right now. It feels very velvety smooth. I definitely feel like it blurred the lines on my forehead just a little bit and kind of helped with some of the texture I have going on around my mouth. And the best part is it's not clinging to any of the dryness that I have going on, because there is definitely a lot going on my skin right now. So far we are 1 for 1 with products today, but keep in mind this is a first impressions video, so I will need to keep testing out all these products with other things that I have in my collection that I already know and love, holy grails and things like that. But I will always keep y'all updated in a future speed reviews video with all of my final thoughts. But let's move on to foundation, because I picked up the newest one from Milk Makeup. This is the Hydro Grip 12-Hour Hydrating Gel Skin Tint, and I am so excited about this. If you are new here, hello. I am 39 years old. I have normal dry leaning skin, and I love a light to medium coverage foundation. I want it to be hydrating with more of a natural finish to it, and this sounds like it is going to be the perfect product for me. Now, this does come in only 15 different shades, but since the skin tint, that's kind of to be expected. A lot of these shades are going to work for several skin tones across the board, but if you have a deeper skin tone or a lighter skin tone than me, let me know what you think of the shade range if you've picked it up and tried it out. I love to kind of bounce ideas off of y'all and get lots of feedback from y'all. But this is supposed to be a clean, non-comedogenic 12-hour hydrating gel skin tint with triple powered hyaluronic acid and buildable light to medium coverage for a natural dewy finish. I love it so much. So let's go ahead and give this a good shake, and somewhere around here I have a beauty sponge and I don't know where it is. Hold on. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and apply this foundation to one half of my face with a damp sponge and the other half with a brush, just so we can kind of compare coverage and application and see which side we like better. So I'm just going to put a little bit of this on my sponge, and I'm going to start bouncing this into my skin. Now, I'm assuming that with a sponge, I'm going to get the absolute lightest coverage with this, since it's already marketed as a skin tint, and I'm going in with a damp sponge. It's going to dilute it just a little bit. But this is looking really nice on the skin. I think that's a wonderful shade match for me. It's not too light, it's not too dark. It could be a little bit more cool tone, but once I get everything else on, it'll be just fine. I would prefer it to be more neutral leaning than to be too cool or warm tone leaning on my skin. So now for the other side, we're going to go in with a brush, and this is the F48 brush from Sigma. It's a soft coverage brush. So I'm just going to go ahead and start by kind of applying this onto the skin, and then I'm going to bounce it in. Now, I could definitely feel that little bit of grip that it had going on when I was trying to swipe it on the skin. So this is definitely going to work better with bouncing motions, which I usually do anyway. I like to kind of spread it out on my skin and then press it in. But if you're someone who likes to just kind of do full-on swiping motions, this is going to have a little bit of a grip to it, but I do think it looks really nice on the skin. It is hydrating, it's very lightweight feeling, but it's not so hydrating where I feel like I am like glowy or metallic or anything like that. It just makes my skin look very plump and healthy, and I'm liking the way that it is sitting so far. Now, as far as coverage goes, I feel like I got pretty even coverage with the sponge and the brush, but let's see if we can build this up just a little bit more. I didn't do my forehead on this side either, but let's go ahead and start here. So I'm just gonna build up on my cheeks and see if we can get the medium coverage that this is supposed to give, or if it's gonna start to look heavy or cakey or just keep kind of shearing out. So I definitely think I was able to build up the coverage of this just a little bit. I don't think it's giving medium coverage. If anything, it's giving the lighter side of medium, because you can still see a lot of my redness poking through, my freckles, my little sunspot right there. But nonetheless, this looks beautiful on my skin. I really like how lightweight and hydrating this feels. It's not super glowy. It doesn't feel heavy or greasy on my skin. It's not settling. It looks very natural and skin-like. But let's move on to concealer. Alright y'all, so this is the Tarte Shape Tape Blur Concealer Stick, and listen, I have never been a fan of the Shape Tape line. It has always been very heavy and cakey under my eyes. Even the more creamy and radiant versions just never worked out for me, but this one sounded pretty promising, and I figured we could just give it a good go and see what it's gonna do. But first of all, this comes in 48 different shades. Y'all, that is a huge shade range. I feel like Tarte always kills it with their shade range, especially in their concealers, and I picked up the shade 12B Fair Beige, and this is supposed to be fair with a cool pink undertone. But according to the brand, this is going to have 50% plus skin-loving ingredients that are going to smooth and hydrate. It's got a custom tip diamond that hugs the inner corners and hides the look of dark circles and acne like a pro. It melts in like butter, it's creamy, buildable, and blends seamlessly. It's going to spot conceal, blur the look of pores and fine lines, or you can wear it as a foundation, and we will definitely have to try that out. It's also going to be 24-hour crease proof. It won't settle or cake. It's going to give you an instant eye lift effect to brighten for a fresh, wide awake look. Hyaluronic acid plus double butter blend for firmer, plumper looking skin. Swipe, blend, and go for effortless, no fuss application. 24-hour long wear, 24-hour crease proof, and waterproof. That is a ton of claims for this little concealer, but I'm intrigued, and I do love the little tip on there. I think that's super cute. So we're just gonna apply this under the eyes, and I have the little brush that I got as a gift with purchase when I ordered this off of Ulta. I don't know if that's still a thing, but if it is, you do get this for free. So we're gonna try this out as well. So I'm just gonna put a little bit right here under my eye. How do I wanna do this? This is kind of angled funny. I feel like it should be angled the other way, but let's just go in this way. So we're gonna put it right here. Ooh, that is very creamy. It didn't pull, it didn't tug, it didn't feel super stiff under there. So we're just gonna do a little bit right here. I will probably set my under eyes later, but I'm gonna kind of let it sit for a little bit so we can see if it starts to settle, because usually concealers will settle immediately on me if they're gonna settle under my eyes. So I am just going to press this out. I'm stippling, I'm not swiping or blending. I am just pressing it into my skin. That feels very lightweight. That looks very skin-like under there. This isn't giving me, I feel like, full coverage. It's a good medium coverage under there. I don't have a whole lot of darkness going on under my eyes, but I do have a little bit sort of on the inner corners, and I feel like it's covering it really nicely. It's not accentuating the texture under there. I have very dry under eyes, and I have lots of little lines under there as well, and really thick, heavy concealers, or even ones that are too creamy and hydrating, can really kind of find their way in there and bring them to the forefront. And just based off of first application, I don't feel like this is doing that. Keep in mind, I've only had it on for like, what, 30 seconds at this point? So we'll see what it does. So moving on to bronzer and blush, we have options, y'all. I have both liquid and powder versions of each one, and instead of layering the products on top of each other, which is how I would normally do my makeup, we're gonna do liquids on one side and powders on the other. I really wanna get a good feel for the formula, the pigmentation, the blendability, the longevity, and if I start to layer them, we're just not gonna be able to get all of that. So we are going to do liquids on this half of my face, and then after we set everything with powder, we will go in with the powder products on this side of my face. So starting with bronzer, I have the newest one from Westman Atelier. This is the Sun Tone Hydrating Matte Bronzing Drops. It comes in 4 different shades, and I picked mine up in the lightest one, which is going to be Soleil Parfait Light Tan, and these look absolutely beautiful. I really enjoy a lot of the products from Westman Atelier, so I'm excited to see how this is going to perform. So I'm going to put a little bit right here on the back of my hand, and that is what our shade looks like. So it is very liquidy. It has a really nice just liquid consistency. It doesn't feel like a gel or anything like that. Half of me was kind of thinking it was going to have like a gel-like consistency, but it doesn't. So what I'm going to do is I am going to pick that up with a brush that's around here somewhere. Let's go in with this one from Anissa. So I'm just going to pick it up off the back of my hand, and I'm going to start to kind of stipple this right here on my cheek. Now, since this has a little bit more of a warm undertone to it and it's supposed to be for bronzing, I'm going to go in on my high points. I'm not going to go under my cheekbone and do carving out or anything like that. This is just to give some color back to my skin. That is really, really pretty. It is very light, very subtle, but I like a lighter bronzer. I have really gotten into liking something a little bit more subtle just to give me a little bit of a flush of color. And so far, this looks really nice. It's blending in with ease. I don't feel like it's lifting anything. It's not patching. It's not grabbing. It's blending in to that skin tint just beautifully. Okay, so I think that looks really nice on the skin. I like how it's just giving me a nice flush of color. It was definitely buildable, but I don't feel like it looks too intense on my skin. It's just giving me this really pretty sun-kissed glow, and I like the way that it's sitting and it kind of melted together with everything. But let's move on to blush, because I have this one from Glow Recipe. This is the Watermelon Glow Niacinamide Dewy Flush Brightening Serum. It comes in 2 different shades. I picked mine up in the darkest shade, which is going to be Berry Flush, and I have used this before. This is such a beautiful product. I was kind of afraid that it was going to lift everything underneath, but it doesn't. It is very sheer, but it's also a little bit buildable at the same time. Now, this is not marketed as a blush. According to the brand, it's supposed to be a skin tint, but who are we kidding? It's a liquid blush. So I am just going to use it how I've been using it, and that is just to put a little bit on the back of my hand, just like this, and I pick it up from there. So it looks very intense on the back of my hand, but when I start to apply it, you'll see how it just kind of shears out a little bit. So I am just going to pick it up and put it right here on my cheeks, building up a little bit more color. And you see how it just really kind of shears out and gives you this really pretty flush of color. I really, really love this. I love it more than I thought I was going to. I picked it up simply because I was really, really intrigued. I wanted to know. I wanted to see if it was going to lift, if it was going to patch, skip, grab, or do anything, and it doesn't. And it actually lasts all day as well, but I have not tried this over powder yet, and we're going to do that together today after we get on a little bit of setting powder. We'll go back and kind of reiterate all this and see if it's going to perform over powder. But look at how pretty that is. It's just kind of juicy and dewy on the skin. It's not sticky. It does dry down really nicely, but it doesn't dry down to a powder finish. I have really, really been enjoying this. So before we move on to setting the rest of this face with powder, let's do a quick check on this concealer really quick, because it's been sitting under my eyes for quite a little bit of time at this point. And looking at it, I think it looks really nice out here. It looks nice and hydrated, but I don't know if y'all can tell, like right here on like the inner corner of my eye, it definitely looks like it's separating a little bit. It doesn't look heavy or cakey, but just looking at it really close up, it doesn't look as perfected as I want it to, but it may just be the kind of concealer that you can't wear unset. So I will keep y'all posted, but we are going to set this concealer with powder. And for that, we're going to go in with this one from Westman Atelier. This is the Vital Pressed Skincare Powder. This is not new. It's been around for a little while, but I have heard so many people rave about this powder and how beautiful it looks on the skin and under the eyes. And if you've been here, you know that I live and breathe for my Pat McGrath Blurring Under Eye Powder. So I had to know, does this stack up to that one, or is that still my reigning champion? Now, I have been testing this one out for quite a little while, and while I do think it looks really pretty under my eyes, I have to say it doesn't look nearly as good as my Pat McGrath. But we are going to set the under eyes with this today. So I just went ahead and picked up a little bit on this puff from Tarte, and I went ahead and pressed it on the back of my hand to kind of get it in here and get off the excess. And we are going to set my under eyes. Now, this does look beautiful under my eyes if they are in pristine condition, if they are nice and hydrated, if I'm not having any issues going on. But if my eyes are dehydrated or puffy in any way, this definitely accentuates that. So while I do think it's beautiful, I think it's gonna be best for like more I guess younger skin under the eyes. I don't think it's the best for more mature. I still stand by the Pat McGrath, but if you're having a really good under eye day, I do think this looks flattering. So I love it, but I don't at the same time. I love it under certain conditions. I don't know if any of that made sense. That was a very roundabout way of saying I like it. So now that that concealer is set, it does look a lot better under there, but I want to show you right here, like on the inner corner of my eye. Do you see where it's kind of bunching up and clinging right there? It could be because my under eyes are a little bit drier today. It could be the powder, it could be the skin prep, it could be a lot of things. So based off of first impression, I like this more than I like the other Tarte Shape Tape concealers, but I still don't know if I love it as much as I want to, so we'll have to keep testing it out. Like I said, this is a first impression video, but let's move on to powder because I have the newest one from YSL. This is the All Hours Hyper Blur Loose Powder. I picked mine up in the lavender shade, and this to me looks a little bit more pink. Like I kind of went in and questioned myself as to whether or not I got the right shade. I have used this a few times at this point and it looks beautiful on the skin, but let me show you what the shade looks like without making a huge mess. So it definitely has a little bit of like a purpleness to it, but to me this is definitely more of a pink powder. It's not nearly as lavender as I was hoping it would be, but we are going to apply this to the skin. So let me grab a brush for this. Okay, I'm gonna go in with this one right here. And I like this better with a brush than I do kind of pressed in with a velour puff. I feel like it's just a little too much for my skin. I'm not a big fan of most powders pressed in with a velour puff anyway. I feel like they can look a little bit heavy, but I am just going to press this all over my skin, and once I feel like I am nice and coated, I can go back with buffing motions and just remove any excess, make sure that it is evenly distributed and that we don't have any unset areas on the skin. But this does look very beautiful. It's nice and blurring. It's a little bit more matte than what I generally prefer on a day-to-day basis. I don't feel like it has any kind of sheen to it or anything like that, but I also don't feel like this looks drying on my skin. So it's kind of a middle of the road matte formula. I like it, but I don't know if I love it. I do think it's beautiful, but it's just, it doesn't compare to my absolute favorites like my Hourglass, my Huda Beauty, and my Kosas. All right, so we are set, and I definitely feel like I can see a little bit of that bronzer and blush peeking through, but I want to see if I can build it up on top of a powdered face, and then we'll go in with the powder version of the bronzer and blush that I have to test out with y'all today. So I'm just going to go in with a little bit more of the Westman Atelier bronzing drops. I'm going to put them right here on the back of my hand, grab the same brush that I did before, and we are just going to see what happens. I don't really have anywhere to go today, so if this starts to lift or do anything funky, we are okay. Okay, that's going on really nicely. It's not lifting or moving anything underneath. Keep in mind I am going in with stippling motions. I don't like to blend and swipe over really anything, but especially if I'm going in with a liquid over a powdered face, that's when you can really start to move things around. But this is going on really nicely, and I feel like the pigmentation is a little bit more intensified since it's going on over a powder, probably because it has something to kind of cling to and really make that pigmentation shine through. But I do think this looks really pretty on the skin. It's giving a little bit of glow back to my complexion. All right, so for blush, I'm gonna put a little bit more on the back of my hand, pick it up with the same brush that I used earlier, and just build this on top, hopefully without moving anything around. So again, I'm just gonna go in with stippling motions and press and distribute. And again, I'm getting more pigmentation going over top of the powder than I did going on top of just the skin tint on its own. But that looks really, really pretty. I don't see where it's lifting or moving anything. Okay, we love it, we love it. Y'all, now that I'm looking at my complexion up close, we definitely have some lifting action going on right here. Like, I don't know how well the camera is going to pick that up because at first I thought it was the way the light was hitting my cheek, but upon closer inspection, we definitely have some patching going on right here. And since I don't see it on my forehead or my nose, I'm going to attribute it to the blush. I just don't think this is going to be the best formula for over a powdered face. It could be because it mixed with the bronzer and the two products together just kind of ate through everything. So I'll keep y'all posted, but that's a little disappointing. But let's move on because we still have powder, bronzer, and blush to apply. So starting with bronzer, we're going to go in with the newest one from Dior. This is the Forever Nude Bronzer. This is going to come in 4 different shades in 2 different finishes. So they have the radiant glowy finish and then they have the matte finish, which is the one that I picked up. And I picked mine up in the lightest shade, which is going to be light matte. This is beautiful. I have used this several times. If you've been watching my description box, there's a few of these products that I have already tested out. So not all of these are first impressions, but this is such a gorgeous bronzer. It is buildable. It is blurring on the cheek. I like the tone of this. It's a true bronzer. It's not going to be a contour or anything like that, but it's not overly warm. It doesn't look super orange on my skin, but I will say this is heavily fragranced. I can smell it just as I'm sitting right here, but once I have it on my skin, that does go away. But let's apply a little bit of this to over here. So I'm gonna go in with the brush that I've actually been using to apply this, and that is this one from Singe. This is a F05 brush. So I am just going to swirl that in there, and we're going to apply this to my cheeks over here. And this will give me a little bit more balance because I feel like I'm looking a little odd with half of my face all bronzed and blushed up and the other side is looking so flat. But look at that. I just think this looks beautiful on the skin. Like I said earlier, I'm loving the lighter bronzers for my fair skin. There was a time where I went in hard with bronzer and I look back and I'm like, girl, what were you thinking? It was way too harsh for your fair skin. But this shade, I really love it. I think I'm gonna love this even more in the summer when I start to do a little bit more bronzing on my face. I just don't tend to gravitate towards bronzer as much in the more cooler winter months. I like more of a bronze tour, but this is beautiful. For blush, I picked up one of the newest ones from Say, and these are the Super Suede Talc-Free Powder Blushes. These come in 6 different shades. I picked mine up in the shade Mia, which is just this beautiful rosy blush shade, my favorite kind of color to wear. I haven't tried this on the cheeks yet, but I have swatched it out, and these are so creamy and smooth, and these have the most beautiful sheen to them. It's not subtle, but it's also not like bam in your face, but look at that. I am so excited to try this on the cheeks. So we are going to throw a little bit on. So I'm just going to pick this up with a Sigma F11 soft sculpt brush. I'm getting a lot of kick up, but it is a baked blush, so I would expect that. That looks very, very pigmented. Let's just kind of bang off a little bit of that, and we're just going to go in. Okay, so it's definitely got some good pigmentation out the gate, but it's not nearly as intense as what I thought it was gonna be. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit more and just go directly in. Ooh, that is really pretty, and look at that. It's like a glowy cheek moment. Like, you definitely do not need a highlighter over this, but if you don't like to look like you have a highlighter on, I think this is going to be a little too much for you. It's not as glowy as the ones from Rare Beauty, which I do appreciate, and I like a glowy cheek. And of course, I will definitely go over top of this with another highlighter because I am extra, but that looks beautiful on the cheek. I'm hoping these last all day. I'm hoping that they don't fade or do anything funky. That is really, really pretty. I like this formula. First impression, this is a hit. Moving on to highlighter, once again, we have 2 different formulas to play with. So we're gonna start out with this one from Glossier. This is the Future Dew Solid Oil Serum Illuminator. This is gonna come in 1 shade, and this is an oil serum illuminator that delivers a skin-first targeted dewy glow that lasts. So it's going to be a very balmy highlighter, and these are very hit or miss. They will either lift everything underneath or they will just melt in really nicely. That looks very glowy, very glass-like. It has a little bit of like a soft pigmentation to it. I don't think it's going to really show up on my skin, which is fine with me. It's really just going to give that sort of wet effect. But this feels very balmy, very kind of sticky. So I'm kind of feeling like this might lift everything underneath. I don't know how well we're gonna find out today since we already have some lifting action going on over there, but we're just gonna go in and just see what happens. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on my finger and I'm just gonna pat it right over top. This is how I normally apply these. I don't like to swipe it on the face. I don't like to go in with a brush or a sponge. I just like to pat it in with my finger. That looks really pretty, but it's also kind of hard to tell because we had that patching going on, but I don't think it made anything worse. It kind of accentuated it a little bit, didn't it? But it didn't lift anything any further is what I'm saying. Let's do a little bit right here on the nose. I might regret this, but I just have a feeling this is going to be the type of product that's going to work better under or on an unset face versus over a set face. All right, y'all, so I know I'm looking like a hot patchy mess on this cheek over here, but we are going to look past that for just a minute and focus on the highlighter because I think it looks beautiful. It is definitely giving me that sort of wet glass skin effect. It meshed together really nicely with everything underneath, and where I applied it right here on my nose, it didn't lift or disrupt the product underneath. I think it looks beautiful. I am really loving the way that this looks on my skin, but obviously I need to test it over a cheek that isn't a patchy mess, but I have another highlighter to test out, so we're just going to leave that one on this cheek and we're gonna move on over here because I picked up one of the new highlighters from Dior. I think they've been kind of reformulating a lot of their products and they brought us several new highlighters. I only picked up the one and I picked mine up in the shade Blue Strobe, and I haven't really seen anybody talking about this, but y'all, this highlighter is so incredibly beautiful. If you don't like something that is high impact and flippy on the cheek, but still very smooth, have you? It's not glittery or chunky. You're not gonna like this, but this is stunning. I have used this a couple of times now. Again, it's been down in that description box, but look at this. Oh my gosh, y'all. I just love it. And from a mainstream, a luxury house mainstream brand, I am so impressed by this because it has almost a translucent base to it. I don't get the stripy thing on my cheek. Like I said, it's not textured, it's not glittery, it's very smooth and it is blinding and flippy and I absolutely love it. So let's apply a little bit on my cheek really quick. Where is the brush I've been using? Here's the one. So I'm gonna pick up a little bit of this and I'm gonna come right over here on this already glowy cheek. But look at that. Oh my gosh, I just love it so much, y'all. This is stunning. I definitely want to pick up the pink one in the strobe formula as well. And I know they came out with like a sequin one, and then I think the other one is a halo version is what they're calling it. So they do have several of them, and I know there's several people that have picked up other shades, other formulas, and they're comparing them on their channel. But this is the one I was dying to get my hands on, and this I absolutely love. All right, y'all, before we do the eyes, let's move on to lips really quick because I need something on these lips. And I have a couple of new products to share with y'all from City Beauty. I am an affiliate with the brand. I do have a code. These were sent to me for free in PR with no obligation to post. I don't have to do anything. This is not sponsored, but I have been wearing these a lot. Once again, they've been down in my description box. There's actually been a couple of description boxes where I've left a couple of products out because I was testing them, but I couldn't share them with y'all yet. But they came out with 2 lip liners and 2 lip oils, and these are so good. I love both of these products so much. So the lip liners, we have 2 shades like I said. So we have Willow and we have Blush. So let me give you a little swatch on the back of my hand. So that is the shade Willow right there. It's a really pretty neutral peachy brown shade. And the other one is Blush, which is my favorite of the 2 shades. And I'm sure you will immediately know why. It's that really pretty cool tone pinky shade that I love so much. These are beautiful on the lips, very comfortable. They stay in place. They lay down, they don't budge at all. So I'm going to throw on a little bit of the shade Blush, and then I'm going to show you the lip oils that they came out with. All right, so this is what the shade Blush looks like. And like I said, these are so easy to apply. I have been wearing this a lot under one of these lip oils. It's just a very hydrating and beautiful lip combo in my opinion. But let's move on to the plumping lip oils because they brought us 2 shades of these as well. And these are different from the overnight lip oil that they had. It still has a little bit of that kind of strange fragrance to it that I'm not super fond of, but it's not nearly as potent in these as it is in that lip oil. And this dissipates once you have it on the lips for a little bit. But they brought us the shades Sangria and Pink Champagne. I love both of these. I like the Sangria shade with this lip liner, and I love the Pink Champagne one with the other lip liner, but these have very little pigment to them, especially the Pink Champagne. It's pretty much a clear lip oil, like you can see it right there. Very hydrating, nourishing. It's not super thick or sticky on the lips. It lasts a good amount of while, like it is going to wear off as you eat and drink or things like that, but it is going to be deeply hydrating. But this other one is the shade Sangria, and it has just a hint of color to it. Very, very pretty. It's just going to kind of amplify your lips a little bit. So I'm going to throw a little bit of this on, and then we're going to move on to eyes. All right, so I went ahead and set my face with my LYS setting spray and primed my lids with my MAC paint pot in the shade Painterly. And for our eye look today, we are gonna go in with the Tarte Aspen Overd palette. Now, this is not a new release from the brand. This is a re-release from the brand. In fact, let me know if you have this palette, if you still have it in your collection. I had this palette, and in a rage declutter, I got rid of it, and I have regretted it ever since because this brings back so many memories. I really don't know what I was thinking. I remembered Mel Thompson raving about this palette, so much so that I had to have it, and I believe it was a Mother's Day present to me, and I'm just really happy to have it back in my collection. I know it is basic and boring, like there's not a whole lot of depth to it, but it is a beautiful formula, and if you are looking for something that's going to give you a very soft, everyday, neutral look, this is a wonderful palette to have. The blush in here is beautiful, the highlighter in here is beautiful. If you have a really deep skin tone, this is probably not going to work for you. Unfortunately, I do recognize it, but we're still going to create a look with this today. So I'm actually going to start with this shade right here, which is called Mother, and I'm just going to start by kind of fluffing that into my crease a little bit, kind of giving me a transition shade. So I'm going to pick that up with a Game Beauty EO6 brush, and I am just very quickly going to pop this right in here. Like I said, we're going to get a very soft, neutral look with this. We're not going to get a whole lot of depth. We're not going to get anything crazy, but it's still a really pretty palette. And like I said, I am excited to have it back. This was a for me purchase, and I wanted to use it, so I thought it would be fun to throw in this video today. So next I'm going to go in with this sort of mid-tone brown shade right here, which is called Tea Time. And I'm going to pick that up with a Game Beauty EO7 brush. And I'm just going to start to build up my outer corner a little bit and kind of bring this into my crease as well. I apologize if this is super reflective and my lights are kind of blinding you. This is a very reflective palette, but I am just going to throw this out here. This is blending so easy. I kind of think maybe this is an improved formula. It's been a really, really long time since I've played with this palette. Like, it has been years since I decluttered it. It was before I started doing YouTube. I was just, get rid of it all. I don't use it. I don't need it. Get it out of here. And then immediately it was like, oh, I missed that palette. It was so beautiful. And every time I would see it in somebody's collection, I would be so sad. Like, I think Blair still has hers. I think maybe she decluttered it at this point, but I know that she would always show it in her collection videos. And I was just like, oh, I missed that palette. It was so beautiful. So I jumped on it. Yep, I sure did. It is what it is. You can judge me all you want, but I love, love, love this palette. So next I'm going to go into this deeper shade right here. Obviously it's not as deep as I would prefer, but it is going to give us a little bit of depth in the outer corner, but that shade is called Road Trip, and I'm going to pick that up with a Sigma E42 brush and just build up a little bit of depth right here in the very outer corner. Like, these shades are definitely a little bit more deeply pigmented than they look. Like, I'm forgetting how deeply pigmented these are. Like, I'm getting some pretty good depth with this. Like, it's still pretty soft, but it's definitely giving me some pigmentation. So I'm just gonna pop that out here, bring it down to my lower lash line, come over here and do the same thing on this eye. Okay, so I went ahead and primed my lid with my NYX glitter primer, and for all over the lid, I'm gonna go in with this really pretty champagne-y sparkle shade in the middle, and then we're gonna throw a little bit of this in my inner corner. So that first shade is going to be Heart of Gold, so I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of it on my finger. It's that shade right there. Let's do a quick swatch right there. Oh, look at how pretty that is. So reflective and smooth. I just love it so much. I'm just gonna pop this right here all over my lid, bring it over to the inner corner, kind of popping it out here, blending it in. Yes, very pretty, love it. And like I said, lastly, we're gonna go in with this shade up here for the inner corner. And this one is called Endless Summer. So I'm just gonna do a little swatch of that shade right there. I have got swatches all over my hands, but look at that. Isn't that beautiful? It may not be flippy and like multi-chrome, duochrome, but it's super reflective and smooth. So I'm just gonna pick that up with my pinky and pop that right here on my inner corner. And then I'm gonna throw on a little bit of liner, and we're gonna come back and do mascara together because I have a new one to test out with y'all. All right, so I just threw in a little bit of my Victoria Beckham Satin Kajal liner in the shade Cinnamon in my lower lash line. And I'm gonna skip the liquid liner because like I said, we have a new mascara to test out, and it's this one from L'Oreal. So this is the Paradise Big Deal. It's supposed to be buildable volume and length. It's going to be clump resistant and lightweight stroke after stroke. So I am excited about this. I have always loved the L'Oreal Lash Paradise formula. I like the waterproof version. I like the regular version. So I was really curious about this one, but this is what the component looks like. Very pretty. Let's see what our wand looks like really quick. Okay, so that's the wand. It's a little bit different from the original wand. Actually, let me show you what that wand looks like so we can do a comparison, because I have my brown version of it right here. So let's see what these two wands look like next to each other, if I can do this. All right, so there is the two wands. So you can see the original wand on the top is going to be a little bit fluffier. It almost has kind of that hourglass shape, and then the one on the bottom has more of that kind of skinny rubbery bristles to it. So let me go ahead and curl my lashes really quick, and we're going to apply a little bit of this. All right, y'all, so the lashes are curled, and I'm just going to apply my first coat of this mascara. I like how small the wand is. It's really easy for me to get in there and not make a big mess. So let's just apply this and see what it looks like. All right, so there we are with one coat. What do we think? I definitely think I got some length with it. Not a whole lot of volume, but we'll see what happens after I apply a second coat. So I'm just gonna go in with a little bit more and really kind of build it up. Okay, there's the volume. I'm liking the volume. My perfect mascara is going to give me both volume and length, but I do prefer length over volume, just saying. But this, I think, looks really nice on my lashes. I really like what it's doing for them. We'll see if it holds a curl, if it's going to flake off or do anything like that. This isn't waterproof, so I don't expect it to hold up to my watery eyes, but sometimes mascaras that aren't waterproof will hold up. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep y'all posted. It's really hard for me to tell how a mascara is going to perform based off of the first use. I usually like them after they've been open for a little bit and they've kind of dried out a little bit, like they're not as wet as they are when you first open it. So I will keep y'all posted. All right, y'all, so this is the final look, and I think this side of my face looks absolutely beautiful. I really like the way my makeup turned out over here. Obviously, we had some technical difficulties on this side with the liquid blush, maybe the bronzer and the highlighter as well. I don't really know. I'll have to keep testing them out and keep y'all posted. But overall, I think we had some really good products that we tested out today. I really like the Say blush. I like the Dior highlighter. The mascara, I think, looks beautiful. I'm loving the lip products from City Beauty. The YSL powder is really nice. It's a little bit more mattifying than what I generally prefer, but it does look very blurring and soft on the skin. The skin tint was really nice. The concealer, I feel like I need to keep testing out. I wasn't overly enthusiastic about it when I first applied it, but it wasn't terrible. I've definitely had worse from Tarte. I like the Westman Atelier powder under my eyes. Again, not a total love, but I don't hate it either. It definitely depends on the days that I am having with my under eyes as to what condition they are in. I'm loving the Tarte eyeshadow palette. So happy to have it back in my collection. And is that everything that we tested today? I think that is all of it, but I'm gonna go, oh, the primer. I think the primer is beautiful as well. I liked how soft and blurred it made my skin look. It felt very velvety and soft. But yeah, I'm excited to wear this makeup for the rest of my day. We're gonna ignore this cheek over here. I will come back later this evening and we will take a look at my complexion and chat about it just a little bit more. Alright y'all, so it's been about 10 hours since I put on this full face of makeup, and with the exception of this catastrophe that we have going on this cheek over here, I really like the way that my makeup looks at the end of the day. I don't have any complaints at all, but I think some of the standout products for me were definitely the Say blush and the Dior highlighter. I just love the way that my cheek looks over here. Like every time I walked by a mirror, it kind of caught my eye and I just thought, ooh, that looks so incredibly beautiful. But the foundation held on really nicely. I don't feel like it's separating or rubbing off anywhere. It's not sinking into the lines on my forehead or gathering around my nose or my mouth area. My eyes held on. We don't have any creasing or fading going on. My lashes are still nice and curled. We don't have anything kind of flaking off anywhere. The liner is still on. Overall, I think I had a really good makeup day, but I'm eager to see what these products do compared with other things in my collection that I know and love. So I will keep you all updated, but I think that is going to end today's video. All right, y'all, so that is going to complete this video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. Let me know if you've picked up any of these products, if you have, what your experience was with them, if any of these were on your wish list, what you thought of the look today. I want to know it all. Let's have that conversation. Light up that comment section. And as always, I want to thank you all so much for watching my video and spending your time with me. It truly does mean so much to me. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a big thumbs up before you leave. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click on that notification bell so that you can be notified of all my future posts here on my channel. I do post quite a few videos every single week and I wouldn't want you to miss one. Until my next video, have a good one. Bye.